What is up, guys? Welcome back. We just saw the first game of the conference final saga. Super exciting between the Celtics and Pacers. Obviously took place in TD Garden. Some really quick thoughts, things to kind of keep in mind for the series that I think are going to be pretty important, and then, of course, thoughts overall on the actual game. I just think it's really cool that the Pacers are leaving Madison Square Garden to play in TD Garden. Kind of sick, and they basically won this game. Especially for young teams, I'm not gonna lie, these things kind of happen, and comments like Miles Turner afterwards, I think, flagged the youth piece, but there's always a productive way to sort of galvanize the team around these kinds of experiences. So Boston comes away with a whopping 133-128 victory. Shot worse from the field, from three, as well as free throws. They had an attempt disparity of 20 free throws. Okay. Indiana's a lot about pace and movement and stuff. It reminds me a little bit of the Warriors, a little bit of the Thunder as well. Instead of a monster, unstoppable Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, took his scoring pressure and scoring skill set and dispersed it across 14 guys. Big story you're going to hear, points off turnovers, obviously turnovers as well. Indiana had 21 turnovers compared to Boston's 14, which amounted to a 12-point difference in points off of turnovers. Obviously, that's tough. And then, of course, the free throws as well. Boston attempted 30, while Indiana only attempted 10. I think most of the story deserves to be around the Pacers, even despite them losing. Number one, Haliburton was hunting a shot, which is always great to see. He went out there, took 18 shots, I think, in the beginning of the game, too, which sets the tone right. When you do that, you alleviate pressure on others. You're drawing more attention, establishing yourself, of course, and he deserves to be attempting 14 threes. He went out and shot like 6 of 14, which is great. 10 assists as well. So really like to see that off the top. Strong start to the series. Next is Siakam and Catboy, a.k.a. Nembhard. I just call him Catboy because he just looks like such a cat to me. First playoffs for that kid, and my God, hats off. I know there are a lot of guys on the Pacers roster who haven't been in the playoffs yet, but, I mean, we would be sitting here celebrating Nembhard like a hero, honestly. He hit back-to-back dagger pull-ups in Al Horford's face. Granted, Horford at age, I think, 38, played 39 minutes, almost a minute for every year of age that he is. So I guess congrats to Horford, but Nembhard splashed twice in his face. Siakam was also hitting from the nail late as well. Just really impressed from them. Great resolve, great poise. Siakam is kind of impressing me more and more. His game is so steady. I really have to say, I just love the fact that he's always willing to be, off ball, on ball, constantly trying to push the pace anyway, running the floor, tremendous length, and all around really good at finishing. One of the biggest upgrades everybody was celebrating about Tatum, for example, is his finishing around the rim, and you see his long swooping arm stuff. Siakam's had that, and it's just kind of on display now, obviously at a big stage. So the one thing that I will say is a little concerning is the free throw attempts. 24 points on 23 shots, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, was +5 on the floor, 0 free throw attempts. That to me is pretty concerning. There is a team systemic-wide concern there. My brain goes, honestly, to Mathurin, of all people, where he seemed to be the guy who was all cylinders go and wasn't afraid of contact, even was seeking it at times. Granted, their brand of basketball clearly is effective on the offensive end. I don't think you can dispute it anymore. Everybody's bought in. Everybody's kind of meeting the frequency of the team. You have Obi Toppin coming in off the bench, is flying around. I just love that man's game. McConnell coming off the bench, he just does not stop running ever, is constantly a pass turning guys over. Even Shepherd is doing really well, crashing from the corner. I think he had a couple really nice offensive rebound putbacks. Jackson as their backup center, I just can't say it enough. I love that guy. I know he's getting a lot of love and praise, and obviously Carlisle knows better than us, but Boston is a very tall, long, kind of built-out team in and of themselves. They weirdly kind of remind me of the Nuggets in a way. Very defined role, very good system, very, very, solid starting team, obviously. Depth is an issue. I don't think this is going to be Jackson series, especially when Kristaps comes back. You also have to have a chip on your shoulder when you're just playing the most dominant team in your conference by several light years of distance. And now this is your second big market Garden away game to start a series. And it's only getting, higher and higher pressure. Love that they came out with the chip on the shoulder. Boston had a really strong start as they tend to do. They're a high variance shooting team, kind of like Dallas. So you got to stay poised. You got to stay resilient, weather those storms. Jaylen Brown said in his post game, it felt like they just came off of a game 7 because they were flying right past us. So the energy was obviously right there. We'll see how Boston responds in terms of matching their pace or managing it, basically. Jrue Holiday had the best game of the entire season. 28 points, 16 shots, went 10 of 16 from the floor, which is really, really good. 4 of 8 from 3, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals, +7. Guarded Halliburton the entire game, chasing him around, forced that really, really critical turnover late for a variety of reasons, even way before that late turnover. Boston doesn't win this game if Jrue Holiday doesn't have this game. The difference maker in probably 4 to 6 playoff games by himself, in ways that might not even show up on the box score stat sheet. But and he also played 48 minutes. So pulled to Josh Hart kind of makes sense to me when you're going up against the pace car. That is the Indiana Pacers. KP is going to be a huge difference maker in this series if he can come back, especially when you think about TJ McConnell doing a snake dribble and running all over the place. Just something I was thinking the whole time. Al Horford played 39 minutes. No Kristaps, of course. I mean, you saw him towards the end. He was kind of getting shot right over by Siakam and Nembhard, which you got to be respect for the confidence. But I don't know how sustainable it is to play Al Horford for 39 minutes. Just full stop. Other things that were cool, Tyrese had, I think, 2 different buzzer beaters to end 2 different quarters. Great for momentum. Drew Shepard took it to him. 1v1 back-to-back buckets late. Dagger shots from Siakam and Nembhard. And then you've got a couple different turnovers coming from Halliburton dribbling it off his foot. Another one in overtime. And then you have the inbounds play to Siakam as well, where they turned it over. And then, of course, it all funnels into the last inbounds play, where you just got to give credit. I mean, Jaylen Brown makes a big-time shot. Big-time players make big-time shots. And it sounds like from the post-game, the plan was to foul, but D. White set that screen for Siakam, and by the time he closed out and met Brown in the corner, Brown hit him with the pump fake, and Siakam was at that point, based on the timing of when he got there and the fact that he, I think, believed, well, you don't want to give up a 4-point play. Also, you are kind of weighing the difference between a literal buzzer beater out of the corner over Siakam and 3 free throws at home. It sounded like Carlisle wasn't upset about the lack of a foul. Same thing with Halliburton, same thing with Miles. Even Tatum agreed with it too. So I think it's totally fine to have that happen that way. Last thing I will leave you guys with is key things to monitor for the series going forward. Number 1 is Boston's energy level late in games. Indiana pushes the pace all the time, of course. Teams focusing so much energy on the defensive end that it ends up getting them out of rhythm offensively. And Boston is notorious for breaking out of its own system and devolving into Tatum ISOs, Jaylen ISOs, etc. So second is Indiana's bench potency. They are notorious for just layering in guys after guys after guys, kind of like Oklahoma City as well. Boston doesn't have the luxury of that. They have a phenomenal top 6 that's connected to the pace thing. Just got to be aware of that, Jrue Holiday going to be playing 48 minutes chasing Tyrese Halliburton all over the court? I guess, and delivering on offense. I wouldn't bet on the offensive piece, but that's the kind of bind that Indiana's pace puts you into, as well as when you think about the timetable of Kristaps coming back, well, it's not like you're playing LeBron James and the Lakers where they just stand around and wait for LeBron to do everything. No, the Pacers are not the team you want to risk coming back too early from an injury off of. So just subtle under the radar storyline. Last thing as well, I will say, is the Tatum shooting, and not even just scoring, but shooting late in games. Tatum goes 2 for 7 in the 4th quarter. He missed 2 threes and a turnaround jump shot and had a take foul within the last 3.5 minutes of the fourth quarter. Jaylen Brown hits that big time shot. Tatum goes ahead, takes the baton, scores 10 points or so in overtime, ends up 36-12, 4-3. Overall, great game, but one of those make or miss league type of things where fantastic look in the box score, but if Jaylen Brown doesn't hit that shot, we're talking about Tatum's no-show in the fourth quarter. This is a theme now, and it has been a theme this whole year. 2 back-to-back losses to Atlanta, for example, complete no-show in the fourth quarter. Clearly, he's on such a good team that he's trying to manage his own shot selection and awareness and internal compass and all of those things. But tonight he was a -1 in the fourth quarter, 2 for 7 from the floor, 0 for 3 from 3, 1 foul, 4 points, 3 rebounds. So, just something to keep tabs on, because I think everybody has been talking about that when it comes to closing out games. Can you trust Jason Tatum to be the 5th place in MVP voting that he is, be the superstar that he says he is, that people treat him like he is? I know it's difficult on a very talented team that has been so dominant this year. There's just been ample opportunities throughout the year where it's noticeably not happened. And then tonight goes 0 for 3 from 3 and then misses 2 of the 4 other shots that he takes. It's just something to monitor. We'll see what happens in game 2. I think Indiana overall just made a really, really strong statement, especially since they have not played in game 1 very well. Funny enough, Boston has not played in game 2 well at all this postseason. So interesting dynamic there. I also think Boston just needed to wake up, and in just so many ways, this is their first game of the playoffs. Not kidding. This felt like the first actual game of the playoffs, and it kind of took a bonkers miracle game time 3 and a lot of things to go wrong for Indiana for them to get back into this game. We'll see what happens on Thursday. All right. Until next time.